Hello again, everyone, and welcome to probably my favorite video I do every year, which is my top 10 films of 2023. Not that I do a 2023 list every year, but you know what I mean. Like, I love putting this list together, and admittedly, there's still a couple of films I was like, I really was hoping to see before the end of the calendar year to put this video together, but I live in a area in Michigan that's not getting American fiction, and that's like the biggest one I've been looking forward to. I know there's a couple other like Oscar baity movies still waiting to come out around here that just aren't getting played around here, and I'm not pirating them, so it is what it is. So this list is as of the end of 2023, my top 10 list. It could still change, I could see American fiction later on, and maybe it'll make the list later, and I'll say that in my review for that film. But as for right now, as the end of the year stands, this is my top 10. It'll be very different from your top 10, I'm sure. You will probably not agree with a lot of the films on my list, but that's okay because film is subjective and everybody's got different tastes. And, it is what it is. And, the fun thing is you guys leaving your comments down below of your top 10 list. I love seeing other people's lists and seeing films that I was like, it's cool that other people like that film. Or I haven't heard of this film. What is this film that ended up on your list? That's what I think the whole point and purpose of top 10 lists are. So let's just have fun with it. We don't have to be mean and say other people's lists are garbage because, it's subjective and we're all different and we like different stuff. So that's what it is. And without further ado, let's get into my top 10 of 2023. Starting at number 10, one I know people are going to already be like, what? It's The Flash. I loved The Flash movie. Was it the greatest movie? No. I mean, there's still some things in it I didn't like, but for the most part, I loved this film. I got emotional during this film. I know people have problems with the main star of the film, but, this is about the film, not about the people outside of the film. Like, this is about the film itself. I'm not going to judge a film based on what somebody did outside of the film. But as the film itself, because a lot of people worked on this, I dug The Flash. I love the Flash character. I think this movie was really well done. Andy Muschietti does a great job directing this. I like all the time travel stuff. And I like the idea of the main character, Barry Allen, the Flash. It doesn't really have a real big bad guy. The bad guy is more Barry's just, wanting to change something and it having a bad ripple effect on the universe. And I just think that's cool and unique, and it stands out amongst comic book films, and I had a really good time with it. At number 9, I have Creed 3, the directorial debut of Michael B. Jordan. I love the Creed movies. I like the Rocky movies a lot, and this was a lot of fun. And, Jonathan Majors, another guy who's got a lot of problems outside of the film. In this film, he is a great actor. Person? I don't know. Actor, though, he is incredible. I like his character in this film. I like Michael B. Jordan's Adonis Creed. I like the story of him and his daughter, the dynamic between him, his wife, the dynamic between him and Jonathan Majors' character. It all works for me, and it's not as fight heavy as you would think, but when the fights happen, they are all pretty awesome. Even the ending fight, which is a little different for a Rocky film, but I think works in the context of this film and what Michael B. Jordan was trying to get across, very stylistically different. So I like that. All right, at number 8, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I don't know if there's a film that made me just well up with tears and just have them all just cascade down my face like this movie did. The scene where Rocket just screams, just that horrible emotional scream. It got me. It got me bad in the theater. And I think James Gunn knocked this one out of the park. It's absolutely a great capper to this Guardians trilogy. It stands alone in the Marvel Universe pretty much. And I just think this is a great film. It's a great comic book film. It's the best thing Marvel's done in a while for me. At least Marvel Studios. So, I love the Guardians characters. They really wrapped up a lot of the stories really well. Emotionally, this film was there. And I just think this is a great time and emotional time, and I, thought it was worthy of making my list. At number 7, I have a film that really did surprise me, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Very similar art style-ish. Well, maybe not similar, but, very interesting art style to, like, a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse type thing. Kind of gave me those vibes watching it. But I like the story. I like the Turtles. I like that they kind of took a new route with the Turtles and the Turtles universe. I like all the voice acting in it. I like that they actually felt like teenagers for a change. It is nice. And how they kind of interact and how you can kind of feel that because I think the voice performers all got to kind of perform together. So that really contributed to, I think, that vibe in the film that these are 4 brothers. These are 4 people in a room together that are getting along. And a lot of other stellar voices in this, like Jackie Chan playing Splinter. I just like this whole story all around. I was charmed from start to end. I wasn't sure about this one, but this was one I definitely came out on the other end going, this was pretty stinking fantastic. At number 6, I have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Uh, I mean, I love the Mission Impossible films. This might be my favorite Mission Impossible film. It is a little long. That might be my biggest critique of it. But I just, boy, oh boy, say what you will about Tom Cruise, but he knows how to make an action movie. And Christopher McQuarrie is the director, of course. Also, these two working together have made some stellar films. And I just think this film has a lot. This has a lot to offer. Lots of different fight scenes, lots of different storylines, kind of building up. And I know it's a part 1, so it ends in a way that isn't necessarily a cliffhanger. It sets up the next film, but it is its own complete movie, and I like that. And it's going to be weird if they don't retitle or if they do retitle the next film, and it's not Dead Reckoning Part 2, and it's something else. It'll just be weird having this Dead Reckoning Part 1, and it not really, I don't know, going anywhere. So we'll see what they do with that. But I love this Mission Impossible film. At number 5, I have Pixar's Elemental. This film, again, this was by the trailers, I wasn't super excited about. I was like, I don't know about this. The animation looks a little weird. You get used to it at the beginning of the film, and it's one of the best things Pixar has done in a few years. And that's not putting anything down on some of the other Pixar releases that have come out recently, but this is just something that just finally like top tier Pixar for me. Like, I just had a good time with it. It's a great story. Wade and Ember have a great relationship. I like the backstory of Ember's family. All of it just works. The building of this really unique world was just very fascinating, and I want to see more from it, and I want to see where this story goes further on, because we all know how this film, if you've seen it, you know how it ends, and I'm very curious to see where Wade and Ember go from there. And so yeah, I loved Elemental. This is like a crowd pleaser. Everybody, for all ages, this is one everybody should check out if you haven't. At number 4, I have the Apple TV Plus original movie, Tetris. This film I was kind of like, oh, this could be interesting. It had a unique trailer, and when I saw the movie, this is a very fun, unique movie telling based on the true story of how the game of Tetris kind of got put together. And I think Taron Egerton playing the lead in this film carries this film. He's got a great charisma. He's funny, and there's just something about this film that I dug so much when I saw this. It was one of the first films of the year that I was like, I absolutely love this film. This is definitely going to be in my top 10. It was so good. And here it sits at number 4. I think this is worth checking out. If you don't have an Apple TV Plus subscription, try to get one of those free trials and check this one out if you check out anything on Apple TV Plus. This, at least movie-wise, as a movie, this is what you want to check out. There are a bunch of great series on Apple TV Plus, so it is a good service, but this isn't a plug for that. This is just Tetris is a really fun movie. It's very unique, very well done, and I think y'all would dig it. At number 3, another film that I didn't think would make it to my list, the film that I wasn't sure how it was going to go, is Barbie. Barbie had a lot of stuff to say, and I thought it said it in very, very sophisticated and very, honest ways, and it didn't really, to me, make one side of what they were trying to present, like, not guys versus gals, but like just how society works in general. It wasn't trying to make men look out to be like brutes. It wasn't trying to make women to, be perfect. It was a mix of everything, and a lot of people are to blame. And if you also think about it, Barbie's kind of the villain of the movie. The way the Barbies kind of treat the Kens to kind of start the movie. So it's weird. I know it's a weird way to think about that, but I heard somebody say that, and I was like, ooh, that's an interesting take. And the more I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, they might be right. Barbie might be the villain of this movie to an extent. But I had fun with Barbie. I think this is great. I know a lot of people have been pleasantly surprised by this, and it was worthy of making it to number 3. At number 2, I have Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. This was one of the films I was super anticipating would be good, and per usual, Christopher Nolan delivers. This is one of his better films. I won't say it's his best film, but it's up there. The acting all across the board is great. The cinematography, great. The music, great. Everything about this movie is absolutely stellar. I'm sure we're going to see some Oscar nominations from Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, as well as Cillian Murphy. So I think this is one to really check out. Yeah, it's a little long, but I think it's totally worth it. This just knocked my socks off. It was just, the tension and just how you kind of engage in this story from beginning to end, and that you don't even get to the nuclear bomb stuff till about halfway through the movie, if that, like maybe a little further than halfway. And, since it's so long, my rule going into this was do not drink your soda until you see Matt Damon pop up in the movie. And it was the perfect thing I could have come up with in my head, because I was like, I'm going to wait till Matt Damon shows up before I touch my soda. Worth it, because you might have to go pee if you're drinking your soda before Matt Damon comes on screen. If your bladder's I won't say as strong as mine. I know some people have a little weaker bladder than me, but That's where I thought. I thought that was a perfect moment to start drinking your soda. Weird thing, I know. But again, Christopher Nolan really deserves a directing nomination at the least for this film. And I think this is definitely one people are going to be talking about for years. This is one of the best films. All right, and at number one, probably to nobody's surprise, if you saw my like list I did at the halfway point of the year, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best thing I've seen all year. I've watched it several times. I always notice stuff I didn't catch the first time. It's not only a great animated film, like it's gorgeous. It's stunning. All the different animation styles they apply in this. Different frame rates for different characters. It just boggles the mind. All the cool little details they put into this film. It's just one of the best films. It's a great film. Animation aside, it is just a good film. Tells a great story. Even a standalone. Even if you haven't seen the first one, you might still get a kick out of this one. But it is a great sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. And I also want to say, look, I know that there's a lot of animators who had a lot of issues on this film. The being put on really bad deadlines, having to work a lot of extra hours to make this film possible. They need to be thanked. They put out a great product, and I hope on the third one that the studio, treats them a lot better. They do not deserve to be treated, like the way they were for this film to get this film out. Take your time. Let the animators take their time. I don't need this film. Like, it was supposed to come out in March. I don't think it's gonna now, but I let them take their time. We will get this film, and I'm sure it'll be great. And if it's as good as this one, we might have another, one of the best trilogies of all time on our hands. So I'm looking very much forward to that. So that's my list, guys. What do you think? What is your list? Leave those down in the comments below. And if you could please like button, subscribe button, all that jazz. It's been a great, fun year. The channel's grown a little bit. I appreciate all you guys for checking me out. I know we don't always agree on film views, but it's cool to also hear other people's perspectives, respectively. As long as people aren't jerks and saying like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I just know how I feel, and that's what I try to convey. So that's all I try to do every year. And of course, every year, every video, I try to do better than the last. So until the next time, guys, have a good one. Happy 2023.